Charlie Rose takes a look at where it all began for the Guns N' Roses superstar.
The world certainly knew their names when Guns N' Roses shot into the LA rock scene in the 80s. Their 1987 debut album, Appetite for Destruction, challenged the synthetic pop sounds and heavy metal hair bands of the decade. As their lead guitarist, Slash created some of the most recognizable riffs in rock music. But the rapid success led to tensions between Slash and lead singer Axl Rose. In 1996, Slash quit. In 2002, he teamed up with two former Guns N' Roses members and built the band Velvet Revolver. Their hit, Slither, topped the charts and earned them a Grammy. Slash has spent the last 5 years playing with Myles Kennedy and the Conspirators. And today is releasing his video for the single, Beneath the Savage Sun. When you took the one thing hard in this world I had left.
The goal of the video for Beneath the Savage Sun is to raise awareness of endangered elephants. Slash partnered with the International Fund for Animal Welfare, and he joins us now. Slash, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, what is up? Cool. It's so cool to be here. Yeah, man.
How did you get involved with this fight to help save the endangered elephants?
Well, I've known the people at IFAW, which is International Fund for Animal Welfare, and for a long time, because I'm a big sort of animal enthusiast and activist and whatnot. And we wrote this song last time we were in South Africa about the plight of the elephant, and it was written from an elephant's point of view, and pretty poignant lyrics about what they're going through. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to we should do a real video, like something that really sort of gives you an idea of what it really looks like. And then I called IFAW and said, I'm going to do this video. Do you guys want to get involved? And so we sort of teamed up, and here we are.
It's interesting. A lot of Americans, Slash, don't realize how important this fight for the survival of elephants is and why anti-poaching is so important. I used to work in Africa, and we went on patrol with some U.S. Marines because they realized, for example, that in some cases, 40% of the ivory trade goes to fund terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab in
Kenya.
Kenya.
Makes total sense.
Right.
And I mean, we have ivory in a lot of things that we just don't pay attention to, and we take it for granted, but we're really like the second largest ivory consumer. And I think that the average person, if they knew really what was going on behind the scenes, would not want to purchase ivory. And if once we, a call to action in the States will change significantly change the whole thing.
Well, the statistics are shocking because an elephant is killed every 15 minutes for its ivory. You've mentioned that you've gone to Africa a few times. One of the last times you went, you brought your children.
Right.
How did that impact them, seeing that firsthand?
Well, they know elephants from the zoo, and they know from TV and whatever, cartoons and magazines. But to see them out in the bush, which is just so massive and majestic, and see elephants in a herd sort of traveling, it's just mind-blowing for them. And for me, just to see the look in their eyes, it was very, very cool.
And people don't realize, I watched this BBC documentary, and there was a scene where a mother essentially had to stay with her baby who couldn't make the trek across the plains to the next watering hole. And as the baby started to die, the mother was sort of trying to urge it to stand up, and then she cried, and you could see the tears rolling down her face. It was the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. They're super intelligent, highly emotional. They have these family groups that last for generations, and there's a matriarch, and there's the whole, all the way down to the youngest, and they take care of themselves, and they mourn their dead. And I think if an elephant actually could turn around and actually speak, people would be, really shocked to see just how sensitive and intuitive they are.
How rewarding has Beneath the Savage Sun been for you as a songwriter to go ahead and have that released?
It was nice because I don't think I've ever touched on a subject like that in a rock and roll song. And Miles wrote the lyrics, and it was something that we'd been talking about, and I'd written all this music, and we put the two together, and it was a great feeling to actually produce something that said what we wanted to say and be able to put it in the midst of everything else that we do. And it's a really cool song. The video is great, but it's a little bit graphic, it's a little bit stark, you know. But I like the fact that we can do our bit to sort of raise awareness on the subject.
Let me ask you now, let's turn to some rock and roll. You've been, I mean, it's funny too. I wonder, I was saying this to Ryan, our floor director, that it must be for you when people ask you about Sweet Child of Mine in Paradise City, and you're like, dude, that was like 25 years ago.
Well, we still play it.
Do you still play it though, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother you when people say, hey, can you play, you know, one of the oldies but goodies? Because they really, it's sort of like asking Paul McCartney about I saw you standing there.
Well, I mean, you know, I suppose when it comes, like, doing it in the set is fun. For a long time, I didn't play those songs, and so just in the last 5 years, started playing them again. And so that's great. When people ask you about it, sometimes it sounds a little bit redundant, but I'm very, you know, proud of the sort of Guns N' Roses legacy and everything that that band accomplished, and the songs that we did and all that. So I try not to ever get annoyed by it. You know?
You mentioned on CBS this morning that the tension among Guns N' Roses is gone.
Yeah, there's no animosity going on.
What happened there?
I think it's just, you know, over time, I think we all just got sick and tired of, you know, this sort of black cloud that really didn't, you know, I think the biggest thing that happens is, especially when you have a breakup that is a little less than harmonious, you just build up a lot of bad energy because of the distance, you know, when you don't communicate, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You start, and it's just whatever the bad feelings were, they just get exaggerated, and I think it just got to reach a point where it was ridiculous, you know.
And Slash, you're considered one of the greatest rock guitarists ever, but you're also known for your incredible riffs. When you were growing up, did you sort of have, like, I mean, for me, I think about like Immigrant Song or even like Sir Duke, like there's just riffs that are so cool that they stay with you. Smoke on the Water. Did you have one that sort of?
I think I was attracted to riffs in general, you know, from, you know, like the Beatles all the way, you know, the Beatles, there was always these sort of single note hooks that I was always attracted to. But I mean, I always loved Black Dog from Zeppelin. I always loved Back in the Saddle from Aerosmith. I always loved Rock Bottom from UFO. Nice. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Right.
You know?
But you also are influenced by things like you know, jazz music and soul music. There are riffs there too. It's just that
it's. I mean, there's a lot of really, really great melodies and sort of riffy type things in all different kinds of music. And sometimes they're done with a chord, or, you know, 3-note chords or 2-note chords or whatever. But it's just it's a hook. Yeah. It's a sort of quick melody that repeats itself, that you reach a crescendo and then it comes in and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Like Safari Inn on your last album.
Yeah,
that was, I mean, it's an instrumental, which you don't usually.
Well, we never came up with any words for it, so we just said we'll just jam it.
That's awesome.
Slash, thank you so
much, man.
Yeah,
So cool.
CBSN, we are very excited to have you. Thanks a lot.